They shackled the honey badger. The child smiled before he gets loose. Start running. In the lowest levels of the Glavex pleasure moon, dark tunnels stretched long and cold. Vaxis, the flesh trader, controlled everything there with his many arms and sharp eyes. He bought rare things from broken ships and sold pain to rich guests. One day his scouts brought back treasure from a wrecked human transport, drifting far from safe lanes. The transport held only one living human, a small girl named Maya, about 8 years old, and one strange animal, a honey badger from Earth. The Glavex guards carried the girl and the animal to the deep cells. Maya walked quiet between them. Her clothes were torn and dirty, but her eyes stayed clear. The honey badger snarled once when they grabbed it, then went silent as they dragged it along. Guards laughed at the small beast. They said, "Look at this tiny thing. It will not last one fight." They put heavy chains on its thick neck and legs. They locked it in a strong metal box next to Maya's clear prison wall. They thought the animal looked funny next to their giant killers. Vaxis came down himself to see the new captures. He stood huge, with skin like wet rock and blades on every arm tip. He looked at Maya first, then at the honey badger. He laughed deep and loud. "This child and this rat will fill seats," he said. "Make the first fight soon." The guards nodded. They added more locks. They tested electric bars around the badger's box. They felt safe. Maya sat on the floor of her cell. She looked through the clear wall at the honey badger. The animal stared back with small black eyes that missed nothing. She spoke soft words. "You are here now. We stay together." The badger tilted its head. It made a low huff sound, like it answered. Maya smiled small. She knew stories about honey badgers from her father. They never stop. They fight anything. They feel no fear. She knew this one would not break easy. Days passed slow in the cold prison. Lights stayed dim. Guards walked past often. They checked chains. They poked the badger with long sticks. The animal did not move much. It watched. It waited. One guard got too close. The badger lunged fast. It bit the stick and snapped it. The guard jumped back. He hit the bars with a shock rod. The badger took the hit. It shook once, then sat again. The guard cursed loud. He told others, "This thing is mean." They added heavier chains. They laughed less. Maya talked to the badger every day. She told it about green fields on Earth, about warm sun, about running free. The badger listened. It lay close to the wall. It pressed its side against the glass, like it wanted to be near her. She said, "You are strong. You never quit. They will see soon." The badger looked at her. It blinked slow. It seemed to understand. Vaxis planned the first show. He told workers clean the arena, put bright lights, test the speakers. He wanted crowds to cheer loud. He wanted bets to grow big. He walked past the cells. He stopped at Maya's wall. He looked down at her. "You smile, little human. Your pet will die quick." Maya looked up calm. She said, "He will not die easy." Vaxis laughed again. He walked away. He thought her words meant nothing. The honey badger tested the chains every night when lights dimmed. It pulled slow. It chewed soft. It found weak links. It remembered every shock, every poke. It learned the sound of boots. It counted how many guards came each time. It rested during day. It healed small cuts. It grew stronger, quiet. One guard talked to another. "This animal does not act like others. It does not beg. It does not cry." The second guard said, "Maybe humans train them wrong. They think it is pet. It is not pet. It is killer." They both laughed nervous. They checked locks again. They added more bars. They told Vaxis all is safe. Vaxis nodded. He counted future money. He saw power. He saw fear in enemy eyes. He did not see the calm in the badger's eyes. Maya drew on the floor with a small stone. She drew the badger running. She drew open doors. She drew stars. She looked at her friend and whispered, We wait for right time. The badger stood, it stretched, it looked bigger, even with chains, it looked ready. Guards moved the badger to a rolling cage for practice. They used poles to push it. The animal walked in slow. It did not fight much. It sat inside and watched. Maya watched too. She waved small. "See you in the light," she said. The badger looked back. It made no sound. It just looked. The moon spun slow. Ships landed. Rich aliens came. They paid to see fights. They heard about the human girl and tiny beast. They said it will be quick laugh. They booked seats close. They wanted pictures. They wanted stories. Vaxis greeted them. He smiled wide. He said, "Soon, you see something new, something special." Night came again. The badger chewed one link slow. It worked careful, no noise. It broke the link. It hid the break with thick fur. It rested. It waited. Maya slept little. She dreamed of home. She woke smiling. She looked at the badger. "Soon," she said. "I feel it." The badger opened one eye. It huffed soft. It agreed. More guards came. They checked everything. They saw no problem. They left. The badger waited. It did not hurry. It knew time would come. Maya knew too. She sat quiet. She smiled. She waited with her friend. Vaxis stood on high platform. He looked down at empty arena. He felt strong. He felt sure. He did not know Small Thing in Chains planned its own show. He did not know Child's Smile carried warning. He did not know yet. The honey badger sat still. Its heart beat steady. Its eyes stayed sharp. It thought only one thing: freedom and the girl. It waited calm, like always. The arena waited too. Lights ready, sand clean. Blood old fights gone. New blood would come soon. Everyone thought badger blood. Maya knew different. She knew whose blood would stain sand. She knew, and she smiled. Guards walked last check. They passed cells. They saw quiet animal. They saw quiet girl. They felt safe. They turned lights lower. They went away. It began again. It chewed next link slow. It worked patient. It knew soon chains would mean nothing. Maya watched. She whispered, "Good boy, keep going." The badger kept going. It did not stop. It did not care. It just worked toward one goal, toward the child, toward free air. Dark tunnels stayed quiet. Only they shackled the honey badger. The child smiled. "Before he gets loose, start running." The arena lights came on bright and hot. The seats filled fast with aliens from many worlds. They shouted and waved betting chips. They wanted action. They wanted screams. Vaxis stood on his high golden platform. He raised all his arms wide. The crowd went quiet. He spoke loud. "Welcome, friends. Tonight we show you something rare. A small earth beast against our best killers. Watch close. Place big bets." Workers rolled the heavy cage into the center. The honey badger sat inside quiet. Chains hung thick from its neck and legs. It looked tiny under the strong lights. The crowd laughed. They pointed fingers. They said how small, how weak, how funny. Vaxis smiled big. He liked their laughter. He liked the sound of money coming in. Guards opened the cage door. They used long shock poles to push the badger out. The animal stepped onto the sand slow. It dragged chains. It looked around calm. The crowd made more noise. Some cheered, some bet against it. They thought the fight would end quick. The first opponent came through a gate. A tall arachnoid with 8 fast legs and dripping green venom. It hissed loud. It raised front legs like blades. The badger stood still. It waited. The arachnoid charged. The badger moved quick. It dodged left. It jumped. It sank teeth into one leg joint. The arachnoid screamed. Venom sprayed wild. The badger held on. It twisted. It tore. The leg came off clean. The crowd gasped. Then they cheered loud. The arachnoid fell sideways. The badger climbed fast. It bit the soft neck under the head. The venom sacs burst. The badger did not care. It kept biting until the big creature stopped moving. Blood soaked the sand. The badger stood up. It panted once. It looked at Maya. Maya stood in a small box high above the sand. Guards kept her there to watch. She clapped soft. Her smile grew wide. "Good boy," she said quiet. The crowd heard her on the speakers. They roared louder. They started a chant. Badger, honey badger. They liked the sound. They did not know the meaning. Vaxis nodded happy. Money piled up on screens. He waved for the next fight. Workers dragged the arachnoid body away. They hosed blood off the sand. They brought out a new beast, a lupinoid with razor claws and thick fur. It growled deep. It circled slow. The badger watched. It did not move much. The lupinoid lunged. The badger rolled under. It came up fast. It bit the soft belly. The lupinoid howled. It swiped claws. The badger took cuts on its side. It did not stop. It tore deeper. The lupinoid fell. The badger finished it quick. The crowd went wild. They threw glowing coins. They shouted the name again. Honey badger, honey badger. Vaxis laughed. He counted credits. He ordered more fights. He said, "Bring bigger ones. Make it bleed more. Make it famous." Days turned into weeks. The honey badger fought every night. Bigger beasts came. Venomous snakes with 3 heads. Cyber beasts with spinning blades. Giant birds with steel beaks. Badger lost skin. It lost blood. It broke bones sometimes. It never stayed down. It got up. It fought. It won. The crowd loved it. They bet higher. They came from far planets just to see. Vaxis grew richer. He bought fine food. He bought new guards. He bought stronger chains. He put grav rings on the badger legs. They pulled heavy. He put electric collars that shocked if it moved wrong. The badger let workers put them on. It stood still. It watched their hands. It learned how the locks worked. Maya watched from her box. She smiled every time. "They add more," she whispered. "They give you more time to learn." One fight stood out. A huge cyber wolf with metal jaws and fast legs. It cut the badger deep across the back. Blood poured. The badger fell. The crowd thought this time it dies. The badger lay still a moment. Then it stood. Blood ran from its mouth. It shook hard. It charged. The wolf snapped. The badger went low. It bit wires in the back legs. Sparks flew. The wolf stumbled. The badger climbed. It tore the throat. Cables. The wolf fell sparking. The badger stood over it panting. The crowd stood up. They screamed. They loved the fight. After that, Vaxis came to Maya's box. He looked through the glass. "Why does your pet never quit?" he asked. Maya looked up calm. "Because honey badger do not care," she said. Vaxis laughed long. He thought it was funny child words. He walked away still smiling. He did not know the words were true. The badger healed in its cell every day. Maya talked to it through the wall. She said, "You are winning. They fear you now." The badger licked its wounds. It grew stronger. It pulled at chains soft. It tested them. It found small weak spots. It remembered every fight. It remembered every guard move. It planned quiet. Guards talked in low voices. "This beast is wrong," one said. "It takes hits that kill our best." Another said, "It feels nothing." A third said we should end it quiet before more trouble. Vaxis heard. He punished them hard. He said, "No. We keep it. It brings wealth. We make fights bigger. Make money bigger." More guests came. Ships filled the docks. Rich aliens paid extra for close seats. They took recordings. They told friends back home, "You must see this Earth thing. It never dies." They called it wonder. They did not call it terror. Not yet. Maya drew pictures on her cell floor. She drew the badger free. She drew broken chains. She drew running feet. She looked at her friend and said, "We get close now." The badger huffed soft. It agreed. One night lights went low for repair. The badger moved, it chewed one chain link slow. It worked hours, it broke the link, it hid the break. It waited. Guards walked past, they saw no change, they felt safe. They were wrong. Fights kept coming. The badger won every one. It learned the arena, it learned doors, it learned weak spots in walls, it learned guard times, it waited patient. Maya waited too. Her smile grew brighter. She knew the big moment came soon. Vaxis planned the largest fight. He sent 3 beasts at once. The crowd will go mad. Will flood. He smiled wide. He did not know the badger waited for that night. He did not know the child waited too. He did not know chains would soon break. The honey badger sat in its cell. It looked at Maya. It looked at chains. It looked at dark. It did not care about tomorrow. It cared about now. The biggest night arrived. The arena seats filled to every corner. Aliens pushed close. They shouted bets. They waved glowing credits. They wanted the impossible fight. Vaxis stood high on his platform. He wore bright shining robes. He raised many arms. The crowd became quiet. He spoke loud. Tonight we push the limit. 3 deadly beasts against 1 small earth monster. Watch it bleed. Watch it break. Place your bets high. Workers rolled the heavy cage forward. Chains clinked loud. The honey badger stepped out slow. New locks gleamed bright on its legs and neck. Grav rings pulled hard. Electric collars hummed soft. It dragged weight, but walked steady. The crowd cheered. They pointed, they laughed at the small scarred beast. Maya walked out next. No chains held her. Vaxis wanted her to stand close. He wanted her to watch her friend die. He thought she would cry. He was wrong. The 3 beasts entered from different gates. First came a long snake, with scales like acid metal. It spat green burning liquid. Second came a bear beast with iron plates for skin and claws like swords. Third came a giant bird with wings edged in razor steel. They roared, they hissed, they flapped hard. The sand shook. The crowd screamed wild. The badger stood in the center. It waited calm. It looked at each one. The snake struck first. It spat acid. The badger rolled fast. The acid hit sand and smoked. The badger jumped. It bit the snake neck behind the head. The snake twisted. The badger held tight. It tore scales. It bit deeper. Venom dripped. The badger ignored it. The snake fell limp. Blood mixed with acid. The crowd gasped. The bear charged next. It swung huge paws. The badger ducked. It ran under. It clawed the soft belly under iron plates. The bear roared. It tried to crush. The badger bit legs. It tore tendons. The bear stumbled. The badger climbed. It went for the throat. The bear swiped one last time. It cut the badger's side deep. Blood ran. The badger did not stop. It finished the bear slow. The crowd stood. They shouted. Loud. The bird dove last. It flapped high. It came down fast with steel wings. The badger waited. It timed perfect. It jumped. It bit one wing joint. The bird crashed. The badger landed on its back. It clawed eyes. It bit neck feathers. The bird thrashed. It tried to rise. The badger held on. It tore until the bird stopped moving. The arena became quiet. Then it exploded with noise. The crowd cheered. They threw coins. They chanted, "Honey badger, honey badger." The badger stood panting. Blood covered its fur. Cuts showed white bone in places. It looked at Maya. Maya smiled wide. She clapped slow. "Good boy," she said. The guards moved close with shock rods. Vaxis waved them back. He looked surprised. "This thing fights harder than I thought," he said. He ordered the parade now. "Show the winners to the guests." Workers pulled the badger forward. Chains dragged heavy. Maya walked beside it free. A tall Glavex noble stepped close. He wore gold rings. He pointed at the badger. "Your little pet entertains us, child. It stays chained. It stays broken." The noble laughed. Other nobles laughed loud. They clapped. Vaxis smiled. He liked the show. Maya stopped walking. She looked at the noble. She looked at the badger. She looked at the full crowd. Her voice came clear and strong. They shackled the honey badger. Before he gets loose, start running. The nobles laughed harder. They thought small girl words meant nothing. Vaxis stepped forward fast. He hit her face hard. She fell to sand. Blood came from her lip. She stood up slow. She smiled again. Blood shone on her teeth. The crowd made soft sounds. Some felt strange. Some felt excited. Vaxis ordered guards. Take them back. No more talk. The guards pulled chains. The badger walked quiet. It did not fight. It looked calm. Maya walked with head high. She did not cry. She looked at her friend. She nodded small. In the dark tunnels, guards talked low. She speaks crazy, one said. Another said no. She warns us. They felt cold in their chests. They said nothing more. Cells. Tight. They checked every bar. They added new locks. They thought all stayed safe. They were wrong. Back in the cell, Maya sat. She wiped blood from mouth. She looked at the badger through glass. You heard me, she said. The badger nodded once. It lay down. It closed eyes. It rested. Guards passed. They looked in. They saw quiet beast. They saw quiet girl. They felt safe. They walked on. That night the badger woke. It worked slow. It chewed chain links. It twisted bars. It bit small wires. No sound came. It broke one link, then another. It hid breaks with thick fur. It waited patient. Maya watched. She whispered, You get ready. I know it. The badger opened eyes. It looked strong. It looked sure. It looked set. Vaxis sat in his high room. He counted credits. He smiled wide. He planned next big show. He wanted more beasts. He wanted more blood. He wanted more money. He slept uneasy. He dreamed small teeth. He woke sweating. He told himself it stays chained. It cannot leave. He believed his own words. Wrong. The moonlights dimmed. Guards changed shift. They yawned. They talked about tomorrow fights. They did not know tomorrow changed. They did not know chains would fail. They did not know child words carried truth. The honey badger waited. It did not sleep. It watched dark. It listened steps. It counted breaths. It planned every move. It cared for one thing, the girl, and the time to act. Maya sat quiet. She smiled small. She knew soon everything would break open. She knew her friend waited. She knew he never quit. She knew he never cared about chains. She knew he cared only for her. The arena stayed dark. Blood dried on sand. Bodies gone. Lights low. In the dark lower levels of the Glavex Concord pleasure moon, named Vaxis, the flesh trader ruled his private combat arenas with many arms and cold eyes. Scouts had found a broken human colony ship floating in empty space, far from safe routes. Inside the wreckage, they discovered one small human girl and one strange small animal. The girl was named Maya, and she looked about 8 years old. The animal was a honey badger from Earth, a tough little creature with thick skin and sharp teeth. The Glavex laughed loud when they saw the honey badger. It looked tiny next to their huge beasts with claws and poison. They put strong chains on the honey badger and locked it in a heavy cell next to Maya's clear prison box. They planned to make both fight in their bloody shows for rich guests. The badger fought hard at first, then became very still. It watched every move with small black eyes that never blinked much. Maya sat in her box with bruises on her arms and face. She looked at the badger through the glass and gave a small smile. She spoke soft words to it. They will learn soon, she said. Vaxis, the big crime lord, came to see his new prizes. He stood tall, with skin like wet stone, and arms that ended in blades. He looked at the honey badger and shook his head. This small thing will die fast, he said to his guards. "It has no chance against real fighters." The guards nodded and laughed. They thought the same. The honey badger just stared back without fear. It did not growl or pace. It waited. Days passed in the cold moon prison. Maya ate little food and drank little water. She talked to the badger every day through the wall. She told it stories about Earth, about green forests and hot suns. The badger listened with its head tilted. She said, "You are strong. You never give up." The badger made a low sound, like it agreed. One night, a guard opened the badger's cell to check the chains. The badger moved fast. It bit the guard's leg deep. The guard screamed and fell. Other guards rushed in with shock. Sticks. They hit the badger many times until it stopped moving. They dragged it back and locked the door tighter. They added more chains and said, "Now it will stay quiet." Maya watched everything. She did not cry. She smiled again. She whispered through the glass, "Good boy. You showed them a little. They think you are finished. You are just starting." The badger lifted its head slow. Blood ran from its mouth. It looked at Maya with calm eyes. Vaxis heard about the attack. He came down angry. He ordered stronger locks and electric bars around the cell. He told his workers, "This animal will fight soon. It will bleed for our guests and die famous." The workers nodded. They believed him. They did not know the honey badger did not care about fame or death. It only cared about one thing, getting back to its child. The moon turned slow in space. Ships came and went. Rich aliens paid big money to watch fights. They talked about the new human girl and her funny pet. They said it will be quick fun. Know the truth. Maya knew. She waited. She smiled. She spoke soft to the badger. "Soon," she said. "Soon they will see." Guards walked past the cells every hour. They checked locks. They laughed at the small beast. They said, "Look at it sleeping." It gave up. The honey badger was not sleeping. It rested. Its body healed slow but sure. Scars formed on its skin like armor. It listened to every sound. It learned the steps of boots. It counted the times lights went dim. It planned without hurry. Maya drew pictures on the floor of her box with a small stone. She drew the badger. She drew them running free. She looked up at the ceiling and said out loud, "You hear me. You know what to do." The badger opened one eye. It made a soft huff sound. Maya laughed quiet. "That is right. We wait. We wait until the time is perfect." More days went by. The Glavics prepared the big arena. They cleaned blood from old fights. They set up bright lights. They tested loudspeakers. They wanted everything ready for the first show with the new captives. Vaxis walked the empty seats. He smiled wide. He saw credits in his mind. He saw power. He saw fear in the eyes of his enemies. "This small earth animal will make me richer," he thought. He did not think about what the animal thought. The honey badger thought nothing about riches. It thought about chains. It thought about teeth. It thought about the child behind glass. It thought about freedom. It waited calm and patient. Its heart beat steady. Its eyes stayed sharp. Maya slept little. She dreamed of home. She dreamed of running with the badger through tall grass. She woke up smiling. She looked at her friend and said, "We are close now. I can feel it." The badger stood up slow. It stretched. Its muscles moved under torn fur. It looked ready. The day of the first fight came close. Guards moved the honey badger to a transport cage. They used long poles to push it. They shocked it with rods. The badger took the pain. It did not cry out. It walked into the cage with head high. Maya watched from her box. She waved small. "Goodbye for now," she said. "See you soon." The badger looked back. It nodded once like it understood. Vaxis stood on his high platform. He looked down at the arena. He felt strong. He felt safe. He did not know the storm was already inside his walls. He did not know the small chained thing would change everything. He did not know the child's smile meant warning. He did not know yet. The lights dimmed. The crowd noise started far away. The honey badger sat in its cage. It waited. It did not care about crowds. It did not care about lights. It cared about one thing only: the child, and the moment the chains would break. The arena lights burned bright. The seats filled with aliens of every kind. They shouted and waved credits. They wanted blood. They wanted screams. Vaxis stood on his golden box. He raised many arms. The crowd became quiet. He spoke loud. "Welcome to the greatest show on Vaxis Moon. Tonight we have something special. A human girl and her tiny savage pet. Enjoy." Workers rolled out the badger's cage. The honey badger sat inside, calm. Chains hung from its neck and legs. It looked small under the big lights. The crowd laughed. They pointed. They said how cute, how weak. Vaxis smiled. He liked the sound of their laughter. Then they brought Maya. She walked between two tall guards. She wore simple clothes. Her face showed no fear. She looked at the badger and smiled. The crowd made soft sounds. Some felt strange seeing a child. Some felt excited. Vaxis spoke again. "The girl will watch her pet fight. She will learn what happens to weak things." The first opponent came out, a big arachnoid with 8 legs and green venom. It hissed loud. The cage opened. The honey badger stepped out slow. The chains dragged on the ground. The arachnoid charged fast. The badger dodged. It jumped high. It bit the joint of one leg. The arachnoid screamed. Venom sprayed. The badger did not stop. It tore and twisted. The leg came off. The crowd gasped, then cheered. The arachnoid fell. The badger climbed on its back. It bit the soft neck. The fight ended quick. Blood covered the sand. The badger stood panting. It looked at Maya. Maya clapped soft. "Good boy," she said. The crowd roared. They loved it. Vaxis nodded. Money flowed in. They brought more fighters. Every day a new beast. Bigger claws, longer teeth, poison teeth. The honey badger fought them all. It lost skin. It lost blood. It never lost the fight. It came back every time. More scarred, more angry, more calm. The crowd started a chant. "Honey badger, honey badger." They did not know what it meant. They just liked the sound. Vaxis grew rich. He bought better food for himself. He bought new guards. He bought stronger chains. He put gravlocks on the badger. He put electric rings around its neck. The badger let them do it. It stood still while workers worked. It watched their hands. It learned their tools. Maya watched too. She smiled every time. "They think more chains help," she whispered. "They help you learn faster." Hard A. Cyberwolf, with metal jaws and fast legs. It cut the badger deep. The badger bled much. It fell once. The crowd thought it was over. The badger stood again. It shook blood from its eyes. It charged. The wolf snapped. The badger went under. It bit wires in the legs. Sparks flew. The wolf fell. The badger finished it slow. The crowd went wild. They threw coins. They shouted the name louder. After that fight, Vaxis came to Maya's box. He looked at her through the glass. "Why does it never stop?" he asked. Maya looked up calm. "Because honey badger do not care," she said. Vaxis laughed loud. He thought it was a joke. He walked away, still laughing. The badger healed slow in its cell. Maya talked to it every night. She told it, "You are winning. They fear you now." The badger licked its wounds. It looked stronger each day. It pulled at chains soft. It tested them. It found weak spots. It remembered every hit, every shock. It planned. Guards talked among themselves. "This thing is not normal," one said. Another said it feels no pain. A third said we should kill it. Quiet. Vaxis heard them. He punished them. He said no, we keep it. It made The big day came. The arena was full. Every seat taken. Aliens pressed close. They wanted to see the impossible fight. Vaxis stood high. He wore bright clothes. He spoke to the crowd. Today we test the limit. 3 mighty beasts against 1 small earth monster. Place your bets. Watch history. Workers pushed the badger out. Chains clinked heavy. New locks shone bright. The badger walked slow. It looked around. It saw everything. Maya walked out too. No chains on her. Vaxis wanted her to see close. He thought she would break. He was wrong. The 3 beasts came. 1 snake with acid spit. 1 bear with iron skin. 1 bird with razor wings. They roared. They hissed. They flapped. The crowd screamed loud. The badger stood still. It waited. The beasts charged. The fight was fast and terrible. The snake spat acid. The badger rolled. It bit the snake throat. The bear swiped. The badger jumped. It clawed the bear eyes. The bird dove. The badger bit its leg. The bird fell. Blood flew everywhere. Shadow. It did not stop. It did not tire. The beasts fell one by one. The crowd stood. They shouted. They cheered. They feared. When it ended, the sand was red. The badger stood, breathing hard. It looked at Maya. Maya smiled big. She clapped slow. The badger walked to her. It sat beside her. The guards came close with shock rods. Vaxis waved them back. He looked surprised. "This thing is more than I thought," he said. He ordered a show parade. He wanted the guests to see the winners up close. Workers pulled the badger forward. Chains dragged. Maya walked free beside it. A tall Glavex noble stepped up. He pointed at the badger. "Your pet is funny, little human, but look, it is chained. It is broken." Other nobles laughed. Maya stopped. She looked at the noble. She looked at the badger. She looked at the crowd. Her voice came clear and calm. "They shackled the honey badger. Before he gets loose, start running." The nobles laughed harder. They thought it was child talk. Vaxis hid her face. Silence. She fell but stood again. She smiled, blood on her lip. The guards took them back. The badger walked quiet. It did not fight the chains. It looked calm. In the tunnels, 1 guard said, "She is crazy." Another said, "No, she knows something." They felt cold, but said nothing. Back in the cells, Maya sat. She wiped blood from her mouth. She looked at the badger. "You heard me," she said. The badger nodded once. It lay down. It closed eyes. It rested. Guards walked past. They checked locks. They felt safe. They were wrong. That night the badger worked. It chewed links. It twisted bars. It bit wires soft. No noise, no rush. It broke 1 chain, then another. It hid the damage. It waited. Guards passed. They saw nothing. They heard nothing. Maya talked low. "You are ready. I know it." The badger opened eyes. It looked strong. It looked sure. It looked ready. Maya smiled. She said, "Tomorrow, they will see." Vaxis sat in his room. He counted credits. He smiled. He planned more fights. He did not sleep well. He dreamed of small teeth. He woke sweating. He told himself, "It is just a beast. It is chained. It cannot escape." He believed his words. He was wrong. The moonlights dimmed slow. The guards' chained shift. They yawned. They talked about the next fight. They did not know the next fight would be different. They did not know the chains would fail. They did not know the child warning was real. The honey badger waited. It did not sleep. It watched. It listened. It planned. It cared about one thing, the girl, and the moment to move. Darkness came sudden. Power lights flickered, then died. Alarms sounded soft, then stopped. Guards shouted. They thought small problem. They ran to fix it. They left cells alone. The honey badger moved. It pulled chains. It bit metal. It twisted free. 1 link snapped, then 2, then all. The electric collar sparked. It bit the core. The collar died. The badger pushed the door. It bent. It broke. It stepped out quiet. Through dark halls. It found a guard. The guard turned. The badger jumped. It bit throat. The guard fell silent. It moved on. It found another. It slashed legs. The guard screamed short. The badger kept going. It did not stop. It did not roar. It hunted. Panic spread. Guards called for help. They closed doors. They turned on gas. The badger climbed vents. It ignored poison. It breathed hard but moved. It broke through walls. It tore wires. It opened paths. It went higher. It went deeper. Maya waited in her box. She heard screams. She heard running. She smiled. The walls shook. Claws cut metal. A hole appeared. The badger pushed through. It looked at her. Blood covered its fur. It panted. Maya reached out. She touched its head. "Good boy," she said. The badger licked her hand. She stepped out. She walked calm through chaos. Guards ran past. They did not see her. They saw only fear. Maya hummed a small song. The badger walked beside her. It guarded her. It watched every corner. Vaxus locked himself in safe room. He called ships. He called help. He said, "Send warriors now. Something is wrong." His voice shook. He did not know how wrong. The badger found a guard room. It killed fast. It took keys. It opened doors. It freed small prisoners. They ran. They hid. The badger did not care. It moved on. It searched for more threats. Maya found a control room. She looked at screens. She saw guards die. She saw blood. She saw her friend work. She smiled. She said, "Keep going. We are close." The badger climbed to upper levels. It broke cameras. It cut power lines. Lights died again. Darkness grew. Screams grew louder. Aliens ran to ships. Some made it. Some did not. The badger found them. It ended them quick. One big guard stood brave. He held big gun. He shot. The badger dodged. It jumped. It clawed the face. The guard fell. The gun dropped. Maya picked it up. She held it loose. She did not shoot. She walked on. They reached the main hall. Bodies lay everywhere. Blood pooled. The badger stopped. It looked at Maya. Maya nodded. "Wait now," she said. The badger sat. It licked wounds. It rested. It waited. Vaxus opened his door slow. He looked out. He saw destruction. He saw no guards. He saw blood. He saw the badger. It sat calm. It looked at him. Vaxus stepped back. He closed door. He locked it. He breathed fast. Maya walked to the door. She knocked soft. "Hello," she said. The badger stood. It walked to the door. It waited. Vaxus screamed inside. "No, no, stay away." Maya smiled. She said, "Too late." The badger scratched the door. Metal bent. It pushed. It broke. Vaxus backed away. He held a small blade. The badger stepped in. Maya followed. She looked at Vaxus. "You should have listened," she said. Vaxus swung the blade. The badger dodged. It jumped. It bit arm. Vaxus screamed. He fell. Maya watched. She didn't stop it. She said, "You hurt us. You chained him. You laughed. Now run if you can." Vaxus tried to crawl. The badger held him. The end came fast. Maya looked around. She saw open paths. She saw ships ready. She said, "Come, boy. We go home." Badger followed. Blood dripped.